feds banning wood stoves and fireplaces all over the United States via zoning regulations, but also having the EPA show up at your house and fine you for particulate. It's the same reason 6 years ago they put new rules in but had to back off, banning all child labor on farms, saying if you go out at 6 a.m. and get eggs from a chicken to bring into mom to cook, or if you take the trash out on a farm, you're child labor. Why would they do something like that? Why are they attacking and SWAT teaming Amish all over the United States, from Pennsylvania to Ohio? Because they don't want you self-sufficient. It's in all the documents. It's called Agenda 21. And now they've got Agenda 2030. Agenda 21 started in 1992, 20 plus years ago, and it's a global treaty that we never ratified, but we're under. Kind of like Congress never ratified the carbon taxes that shut down more than half of our coal power plants, doubling our power prices. And so we couldn't compete with China. Congress never passed it, but Obama did it through the Environmental Protection Agency, even though the scrubbers on the smokestacks cut everything out but carbon dioxide and water vapor. They're now saying that your fireplace can't put out anything, period, that it's toxic. But if you look at all the studies, we know that, number one, fireplaces and wood-burning stoves are getting rarer and rarer. But number two, potash from them going into the atmosphere is key nuclei that causes rain droplets to form. And that naturally lightning strikes before fire mitigation in the industrialized world the last 200 years would cause huge giant prairie fires and forest fires that would go up thousands of feet in the air and inject potash into the atmosphere. So again, part of the carbon cycle on this planet is fire. That is where the carbon gets put back into the earth, but they're trying to tax carbon dioxide. Now they want to tax solar panels if you're getting light, so they're taxing light, and they want to, again, tax your use of water. Carbon cycle here on this planet is based on sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, oxygen. And if you can tax any of those four things, you take over the environment. This is admittedly feudalism. I remember 15 years ago reading articles out of German newspapers saying, families are bad, and there should not be single families. We don't want some weirdness of a family being passed on. The state needs to have control. The Germans are quite honest about their control, and they submit as well, unfortunately. They said, we're no more family-dwelling homes, single-family dwelling homes. Everything must be high-rises or communal groups so we can watch you. Now, I would talk about that, and people didn't believe it. I would talk about moves by the EU to ban outdoor space heaters and then fireplaces and then cook stoves. It's already been done now for at least a decade. And now, just Google it for yourself. If you look at California, Oregon, Washington State, where they beta test all this, they have the EPA harassing people that have stoves, barbecue pits, you name it. They're fighting them, and they're saying these stoves are banned in California, Oregon, and other areas like that in Washington State. And then all the old folks there that get most of their heat from wood that's a renewable resource, most of it's just dead wood that gets cut up that they buy for almost nothing off the side of the road or that they cut on their own property. They're saying, oh, no, you're not going to have that old wood-burning stove that you cook your food on and heat your house. If you want, you can buy a scrubber like power plants have for $30,000 and put it on it. But then these new stoves that certain companies have the patents on, trendy companies, don't even heat your house 1/10 as good. So it's all about scams and all about controlling markets. And Forbes asked the question 6 years ago, why is there a war on lemonade stands? Why is there a war on farmers markets? Why is there a war on Amish? Why all over the country do the feds advise local police, like in areas of Oklahoma, don't let people have gardens in their backyard? It might be marijuana. They don't want you going back to normal human activity. They got to sew this up. Prisoners aren't allowed to just travel around on their own and grow their own food and make their own clothes. Now, that's what real liberals have been into. But that's why it's crazy that it's liberals areas that are then getting rid of true progressive type hippie stuff that's common sense. And it was an earlier rebellion against the whole corporate big box store situation. Now, Austin, Texas is a blue area. I don't like Republicans. They were warmongers. They were globalists. But now Trump's blocking all that. We've taken over the Republican Party. But here in Austin, just again, people don't like videos where I show you the articles. These get more views. So just, if you want to look it up, go look it up. Just type in Austin bans barbecue pits. They're saying, we'll fine you for small ones. They're ticking people at parks. All these old barbecue places that were in East Austin that were mainly black-owned have been shut down. One is like 2 doors down from Pat Riley's house. The city just sued them until it shut down because Californians moved in, didn't like the smell of meat. Now, I want to be clear, that is not real Californians. California was more Texas than Texas, more frontier 50 years ago. All the failures of the nation, all the glitter bugs, all the lottery ticket wannabes, all the trendies went there to be stars, got used, that all collapsed. Now they've come here, and it's like, God, you come somewhere fleeing where you came from, high taxes and regulations, and you immediately want our guns. You immediately bow up to me in restaurants because I'm for Trump, and you get mad at my big Ford vehicle. Listen, if you want to go to North Korea, go there. Just stop trying to make me conform. But listen, back when I was in high school and hadn't done much, I remember telling my parents how they ought to live their lives. As soon as I had my own life, I didn't want to be involved in theirs. And it is a systemic arrested development of these people who are really like fascist cult members. And all the studies show that we're dealing with. Now, you've had a crisis of identity because NPR and Time Magazine and the New York Times and all those other sycophantic, pseudo-intellectual FOP organizations told you you were the enlightened, you were the invincible, you were just incredible, and I'm trouble. You bought into it, but no one else did. Record numbers of blacks, Hispanics voted for Trump. The same whites that put Obama in voted for Trump as a repudiation of you. And now Stephen Bannon, these two videos are coming up. I taped them earlier. This is live. It's come out and laid out what I've been told privately and I can already see. We're going to really cut the taxes down to nothing on poor people. We really are going to do basic stuff that was designed to deindustrialize the country. The internal war against this nation, no one really understood. It was only top academics and top bankers. So the military, the police, even the average federal officers and federal bureaucrats didn't see the whole thing. And I've been credited, I'm very proud of this, by high-level folks publicly, but also privately, with just actually being able to reach everybody with the message, mainly in government, of what had happened, and they could reverse engineer it and realize that they were breaking their compartmentalization, and then I was dead on. Then they would give us intel that would complete the awakening circuit. So the trendies who I want to wake up, most of them weren't breastfed. Their brains are about a third smaller. I'm not being mean. I mean, I'm serious. They were not held as children. It's been shown they have a dissociative no connection. The state is their parent. They're very threatened by closeness. That's why they think normal sex is rape. And they're just dehumanized humanoids. They still have some humanity, but it's more of a cackling, laughing, group thing deal. They're not individuals. Some can be reached, but I realize more and more we have to triage, and we have to move on and just reach folks that are still somewhat awake and who haven't been completely wrecked. But the number one thing to battle the globalists is don't watch mainstream TV, go outside, walk in the forest, grow plants, just appreciate your life, eat organic. And if you have a child, hold it close to you at least the first 6 months. A lot needs to sleep with you, be up against you. Its IQ totally boost. Needs complex fats. CIA declassified 50 years ago. They said don't have a fat diet because they didn't want you to have a big brain. They wanted you to be, all the neurological disorders, everything. It's just, they financed ugly art, ugly buildings to make us feel ugly. It's all declassified. It's there. And all the pseudo-intellectuals, all they've got is a laugh. Well, we have reality. We have the stars. And so we're going to win. And I apologize you hate humanity. And your mommy didn't breastfeed you, and then you were all alone in the dark and scared, and then the state comes by and you feel power in it. You don't have like that innate sixth sense connection. You just don't get real stuff. You kind of resonate towards fraud and failure. There is still hope for you. And I don't mean this condescendingly. I really mean that for you. I understand you're angry. But listen, your false god of the state, this particular god of the state, is a horrible eugenicist, cold-blooded psychopathic organization that wants you poor on purpose and wants to fail on purpose because it's exempt from all it does to you. So when I'm telling you is reality, and I know it's painful for you, but you can still find your humanity. Now again, fire, the most basic human discovery, is under attack. The combustion engine is under attack. Everything decent and real. Fertility is under attack. Sperm counts are down 90%. They admit they're adding chemicals to the food and water to basically make us be submissive. White House Science Czar wrote a book in 1974, the year I was born, admitting it. And part of being human is admitting when you're under attack and being aware of it, not just evolving to accept. I was told by a top banker once in a private meeting, it was on a first-class flight to New York. He said, Alex, you think you're going to wake people up and they're going to adapt to overcome this? They're going to adapt to submit to it. And see, he thought he'd bet on the right side. Listen, he may get 50% of people to sit there and be slaves. It's always been a small, irate minority that changes the world. And we're way bigger than a small, irate minority. So it's a fight between prosperity and tyranny. It's a fight between austerity and empowerment. It's a fight between the globalists having a zero-sum game and our non-zero-sum game of just win-win 360. And it's there. But we have to break the will of the globalist controllers, and we have to somehow reach out to their zombie minions who tend to only double down when they're shown facts and just lovingly somehow try to get through to them because they're so upset right now They were never anybody, but they believed they were part of Goldman Sachs and the big banks and the media, and they were part of the establishment, and the media patted them on the head on MSNBC. Rachel Maddow would look at them and tell them how they were the boss, and we're in charge. We're the intellectuals, when you know none of that's true. I want you to be red-blooded. I want you to be strong. You were taught to hate yourself. You were taught to hate your ancestors. You were taught to hate the greatest country in history. I hate the bad stuff America's done, but I don't hate the country itself. I want to restore the republic. Where else am I going to go? North Korea? But there it is, folks. You laughed when I told you the polls were rigged. You laughed when I said Trump would win. You laughed when I said the NSA was spying on you. You laughed when I said there were penalties in the IRS if you didn't get Obamacare. You laughed on thousands of points I made, and now Harvard admits vaccines and fluoride are causing brain damage. See, you're not laughing now. I've seen your articles. I'm dangerous. I'm a scourge. I need to be shut down. Bloomberg's so desperate they got caught today putting out fake tweets of Trump where he goes, yeah, I ripped off those young people. Glad I did. Other fake quotes from USA Today with him going, I hate conservatives. I love ripping them off. How dumb do they think you are? Because at the bottom of it, they admit it's fake. They know you don't read to the bottom, and they know you're so delusional. You read to the bottom, you still go, I don't care. It feels good because you're the winner. You're the moral one above us. You're the good. You don't judge anybody. You're open and free, but you judge everybody that doesn't submit to you. Bunch of bitter, butthurt, Arrested Development, small-brained. I mean, physically, they've got studies. The average liberal didn't get breast milk. I'm talking about the trendy liberal. There's like real liberals out there like Bev Harris and Julian Assange and so many others. And then there's all like the fake ones. All the moral signaling. I mean, I've told the story a lot. But I'll never forget I was at a friend's house for the weekend. And they had this community dock for like 5 houses that were in the neighborhood, this little community center. And this woman walks up. She goes, she wasn't unattractive, like 35 or so. She goes, I'm a UT professor. And I'm there at like 8:30 in the morning with coffee. And my son's, he's like 14 now. He was like, I guess like 10, 9. He had a little birthmark on the side of his head. It's kind of faded away. It's kind of sad as that stuff fades away, and it's like part of their body. And she's kind of ignoring me. She goes, young boy, what? It was like a kook out of like a villain out of a movie. Young boy. After I talked to her a few minutes, because I was just calm and, already swam a mile on the lake that morning. It was just, dried off and chilled and just, mailed. So, yeah, sitting there. And she just couldn't handle it. She's all, because she's so neurotic, she had to get on top of me mentally that I was bad. She went, young boy, what happened to your head? I'm not saying anything happened. She's like looking at me. She leans down to me. I'm not saying anything happened. He's like sitting on the dock. What happened to your head there? Because there's a white male right there. She's a white lady. I mean, I'm not kidding. And let me do it exactly. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. Are you okay? So you can tell me. He's like, well, that's my birthmark. She's always had liberal women come up and ask, like, and then she started going, I was just checking. Well, there's going to be gypsies here later. And I hope you're not against gypsies because they never did anything wrong. And it was just like all this weirdness, man. And they're leaders, and the leader is at UT, and they're very special people. And I was just like, whoa, dude, it's like all this gate-crashing, dominant, weird crap, man. And I've just dealt with them so much. They're freaking loons, man. And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it gets crazier and crazier. I remember I had a dog who got out of my back fence when I was like 20. His name was Helmet. It was a Labrador that I'd found on the side of the road when I was like 16. So he'd been with me when I was with my parents. When I moved out, I had him. And he climbed out or dug under the fence. And I got a call from the vet, somebody taking him. He'd been hit by a car. And they wanted to amputate his right leg. But I said, no, I think it might come back. And part of it did come back, but he would swing his leg. And the dog lived until he was like 14. But I made that decision. The vet later said, yeah, that was a good decision. A lot of the nerve came back. We still had to swing it because the nerve damage in one part was, it was kind of like my torn Achilles. Leg doesn't work right. I'll have surgery. I'm not kidding you. I gave that dog back to my parents. I didn't realize what it was then. I was like 22, 20 years old. I looked super good looking then. Now I look like a toad. And so it was how liberal women knew how to reach out on a hike and bike trail. Sometimes like 5 times per run, because I would run and the dog was fine. He'd swing his leg. These women would run up and say, or I'd stop and go, oh, is something in your paw? Did he hurt you? And look at me and say, did, because I was a white male. Did I hurt him? See, did I hurt my son? And finally I go, listen, you crazy lunatic, the dog was hit by a goddamn car. And I'm telling you, I gave the dog to my parents who moved into a bigger place and had 4 acres, and they're still at the same house today. And he lived like 14. But I mean, they just beat you down with their judging and their accusing and their prodding, and you can't have fireplaces, and the word mother and father is bad, and just on and on and on. These damn people, and your kids belong to the state. Just creepy, weird freaks like Melissa Hara Perry. Just get the hell out of my life. And you look at the anarchistic communists in these meetings, they're so ugly and like little pig demons. And just like, what is wrong with them? And I realize that they're sacks of crap. They come from bad families. They're bad people. And we have to just realize there are bad people that have to be dealt with. They have their rights, but we have ours, and we have to not. Tom Hanks, I've never seen another one of his movies. He does all this stuff that, all these acting things where he plays a racist Trump supporter. And I will never watch. I mean, used to I kind of halfway not watch stuff. Never watch your films. Anybody does any of this, I'm done with you. We have to pull out from the scum at every level and not hate them, not be like they are, but just be like, whoa, whoa. And we can't sink to their level. We can't be warmongers. We can't go along with globalist operations from the right side either. We just got to be very, very upright, good people, because these are bad, bad, bad people. Bad people. So judgmental, so evil, so twisted, so bad. Because to them, I mean, now, back then I didn't know. I was a good-looking guy jogging with a good-looking dog. And these women, they weren't even really coming on to me. They wanted to come, and I'm bad. Oh, God, that guy's good-looking. Oh, his dog's limping. Oh, you hurt your dog. It's like they need that it's a dominance thing. It's a class thing. It's like they're the equivalent of like super oppressive, weird, crazy witch hunt preachers or something, They're like on witch hunts, and they're just like, everyone's bad but us, and we're liberal. And it's just like, God almighty, you people are just shameful. I mean, you are just horrible products of all this liberty, these spoiled, rotten, third-generation punks, disconnected, and also wimpy. I told the story, and I'm going to close this out. Growing up, going on hikes and going on all sorts of camping trips with all these newspaper editors, some of which that were my parents' friends, because my mom had worked at the Dallas Morning News when I was like 2 years old, about 7. And so there were all these newspaper people she knew. Some of them went on to like run major newspapers, major ones, household names. And so I was in college, and I kept my guns at my parents' house. And my parents had a big walk-in bedroom closet that came off their kind of foyer, and then there was a living room kind of area. And one of these editors, newspaper editors, was there with his wife, and I was walking by with a deer rifle. I think I had another gun or something. And I hear like, ooh! And I go in, and I go, what's going on? He goes, it's lots of, you say, David's following. My dad's like, it's okay. And he shows me, it's a lever action, my first deer rifle. My Uncle Houston gave it to me when I was 7. Please get it out. And it was a big freak out. And then I went and put the guns up. My dad said, no, I'm going to do this. And he brought a 57 Magnum, unzipped it, said, please. And they were like, if you want, David, we may leave. We may leave. And my dad's like, if you saw a police officer with a gun on his hip, you wouldn't freak out. I'm a doctor. You've known me for 20-something years at that time. And my parents never really saw them again after that. But it wasn't the gun. It was they knew I was involved in libertarian politics. It was a way to go, they're in a third world country. Guys got machine guns. They feel fine. It's seeing a fellow slave, a white male. Of course, the guy was white. So that went on, and I realized that they are so damn domesticated, folks. These are like high-rise dwellers for multi-generations. They're not really people anymore. And to them, I am alien. And I'm really domesticated and soft. I'm nothing like my grandfathers. They can fix anything. My dad can fix anything compared to me. I'm like this jellyfish pussy, and I'm like Rambo to these guys. That's why all over the country they got colleges saying, don't show masculinity. Don't show muscular football players in murals. It's hurtful to those that aren't muscular. I mean, it's like a legion of wimps have gotten together, and they're freaked out by reality, and they just want to control everything. They're scared of everything and they're wimps, but they want to control everybody. And they've got big banks allied with this huge domesticated population. They're taking fire away from us now. They've listed what we exhale as a toxic waste. This doesn't look like a human attack, does it? But I realize it's not aliens doing it. It's just a metaphor. It's people that aren't really normal humans anymore. All right, I'm done talking about this. I know most liberals will just say, nobody's banning fireplaces as they're banned. Or, it's so trendy to have a 200 square foot apartment where they admit it's so they can charge you more and rip you off. It's all been brought up by the big banks to screw you. But as long as you say it's trendy, oh my God, it's so trendy to pay more for 200 than 1,000. Car to go. Alex Jones is fake news. How about him? Oh, he's getting so big. Let's ban him. Democratic strategist tonight wants to ban InfoWars. Fox News tonight. It's like, they're seriously on Fox News going, well, should we ban Alex Jones? It's like, oh, because I'm so ineffective. That's why they want to ban me. Infowars.com/show. You're spreading the word. You're having the effect. You're winning the war. It's because of you that all this is exploding. Oh, and one other big point. I want to shoot a whole video on this tomorrow. 4 to 6 p.m. will be live, by the way, Central. I figured it out. It's not Infowars, and it's not even the other big sites that are important. We kind of come up with our own focus, our own analysis, our own points. But it's the listeners and the commenters and the little YouTubers that are getting big all over the place that have all the fresh angles and hit everything and never miss anything because there's so many of them. We need to get everybody on YouTube, everybody on Facebook, everybody on Twitter, just all talking. And we're already so many more than them. And our stuff's so grassroots and not teleprompter and not talking point and not top down, we will annihilate them. That's what won all this. And that's why we're winning all over the world. Nationalism, patriotism, a rediscovery of humanity, femininity, and male. All of this is reemerging. It's so wonderful right now. So I want to salute all of you. You're incredible. I want to salute Rob Dewey's been up here. His kids are here with my kids. We're going to get on back to the hacienda. I want to thank all of you out there for watching Infowars.com/show. And what you've heard here is Veritas. Everybody knows it. They're coming after humanity, folks, because humanity is about individualism. It's about free will. And the corporate board don't like it. I agree. It's time to shut down fireplaces. Never had fire on Earth before. Well, the Earth will just burn up if we don't do it.
We can use carbon credits to keep us warm.
All about isolating you all by yourself. All about isolating you and then drugging you out of oblivion and then spewing you out of the atmosphere like you never existed, Winston. So why are the feds banning wood stoves and fireplaces all over the United States via zoning regulations, but also having the EPA show up at your house and fine you for particulate? It's the same reason 6 years ago they put new rules in but had to back off, banning all child labor on farms, saying if you go out at 6 a.m. and get eggs from a chicken to bring into mom to cook, or if you take the trash out on a farm, you're child labor. Why would they do something like that? Why are they attacking and SWAT teaming Amish all over the United States, from Pennsylvania to Ohio? Because they don't want you self-sufficient. It's in all the documents. It's called Agenda 21. And now they've got Agenda 2030. Agenda 21 started in 1992, 20 plus years ago, and is a global treaty that we never ratified, but we're under. Kind of like Congress never ratified the carbon taxes that shut down more than half of our coal power plants, doubling our power prices. And so we couldn't compete with China. Congress never passed it, but Obama did it through the Environmental Protection Agency, even though the scrubbers on the smokestacks cut everything out but carbon dioxide and water vapor. They're now saying that your fireplace can't put out anything, period. That it's toxic. But if you look at all the studies, we know that, number one, fireplaces and wood-burning stoves are getting rarer and rarer. But number two, potash from them going into the atmosphere is key nuclei that causes rain droplets to form. And that naturally lightning strikes before fire mitigation in the industrialized world the last 200 years would cause huge giant prairie fires and forest fires that would go up thousands of feet in the air and inject potash into the atmosphere. So again, part of the carbon cycle on this planet is fire. That is where the carbon gets put back into the earth, but they're trying to tax carbon dioxide. Now they want to tax solar panels if you're getting light, so they're taxing light, and they want to, again, tax your use of water. Carbon cycle here on this planet is based on sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, oxygen. And if you can tax any of those four things, you take over the environment. This is admittedly feudalism. I remember 15 years ago reading articles out of German newspapers saying, families are bad and there should not be single families. We don't want some weirdness of a family being passed on. The state needs to have control. The Germans are quite honest about their control. And they submit as well, unfortunately. They said, we're no more family dwelling homes, single family dwelling homes. Everything must be high rises or communal groups so we can watch you. Now, I would talk about that and people didn't believe it. I would talk about moves by the EU to ban outdoor space heaters and then fireplaces and then cook stoves. It's already been done now for at least a decade. And now, just Google it for yourself. If you look at California, Oregon, Washington State, where they beta test all this, they have the EPA harassing people that have stoves, barbecue pits, you name it. They're fining them, and they're saying these stoves are banned in California, Oregon, and other areas like that in Washington State. And then all the old folks there that get most of their heat from wood that's a renewable resource, most of it's just dead wood that gets cut up that they buy for almost nothing off the side of the road or that they cut off